I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah, man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Mills inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Welcome to episode 605 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports. For institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-hosts, Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Both are still out on assignment, getting extended Christmas time, but I have those that tend to work overtime. I have none other than A.D. Drew and Wilton Jackson. Second is in the house. With that being said, we're filming from our home studios, KCWH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper in a beautiful home at Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. We have an exciting show today, I do believe, the day after Christmas, as we bring in some of the hardest workers in the business. What's going on, Wilton? How's it going, AD?
It's going pretty good. Like I said, day after the holiday. Glad to be here. Like I said, didn't eat too much, didn't drink too much or nothing like that. So it's been a good holiday.
You did very well. You passed the first test. You didn't eat too much. Now let me ask you the second test. Did you spend all your money?
I didn't spend all my money. I still got some saved up. You know, Santa, he was good to me. He was good to my family. So, you know, I still got some saved up too. He allowed me to save some too.
No, that's nice. You passed the second test. You're doing well, man. You're about to ace out of this course. What about you?
I ate enough. I won't say too much. Won't say too little. I ate enough. I cooked enough. Definitely cooked enough. Still got some food down there. You know, there's always that. Okay, how many days after Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever holiday are we gonna eat this food? Mm-hmm. And you know, the further you get away from it, you start getting into the creative recipes. You know, turkey always turns into turkey salad. You know, you eat ham for breakfast, ham for lunch, ham sandwiches, ham for dinner, ham on salad. I mean, you know, you take the beef, you mix it up, you make it into beef tips and everything like that. But the second part that you asked Wilton, the Lord knew what he was doing. The Lord did not bless me with an extra check before Christmas. But when I go to the mailbox today, he blessed me with a check that I had been waiting on. So because he did it afterwards, I probably got more money in my pocket than I would have if I would have got that check a day or two before Christmas. That's all I'm gonna say.
Man. I like it. For those that celebrate Kwanzaa, happy Kwanzaa. Day one emoji, unity. Yep. So we'll see if we can put that to practice in HBCU sports culture. Or maybe we'll just make sure we do it on the show. With that being said, happy holidays. Again, to everybody, I hope seriously everybody's safe and enjoying it as you made it through Christmas. Now we get ready to celebrate the new year. And as we said, we take these 7 days as we celebrate Kwanzaa with the 7 principles, starting with day one today, Umoja, unity. My son and I got a chance to light the candles, so I really appreciate it because he certainly asked the question, you know, ready for the day. We have our little dialogue about it, and he's fired up and gets ready after doing the traditional Christmas things. Now he gets the chance to focus on other things that are just as important, beside making sure that he got the gifts. He enjoyed it, though. He got his gifts, got him a pair of those Adidas shoes with some socks, purple, gold, red, but he put on the purple one and the gold one, so he's stylish and had his shoes on. He's ready to go, so he was certainly excited about that. Among the other things, I had to make sure he gets his Legos too. I like to activate the mind. So all is good. My wife is happy in terms of her gift, so yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
You know, Dr. Cavil, you mentioned the Legos. My stepmother believed in Legos until way past the age you should have been playing with Legos. But you know, but do you know something?
You're never too old for Legos. I still have a set. Quiet though.
Yeah.
But you know something, you can't just find the basic Legos anymore, because I was gonna get some for my grandkids. You know, it's all these specialty sets that you build this out of, and the airplanes and the cars and the house. What can I just get some with just the long blocks and the short blocks and the mid-size blocks, and you know, just so I can make my own stuff? That's cool for the special set, but I just want a basic set so the mind can wander.
This is good. Well, let's get into some of the news updates. I guess we can just put it out there now. Shout out to those that were putting it out there, likely in terms of that. Now it's across the media. It says that Sean Jackson, ex-Philadelphia wide receivers, when many people remember him, but he's played for a couple of other NFL teams, that he is in negotiation or is expected to be named the head football coach at Delaware State. So with that being said, let me go to you, Wilt. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, you get another NFL guy with NFL experience per se, getting a head coaching job. We saw Michael Vick last week, and now it's Deshaun Jackson, obviously a former teammate with Michael Vick. So, I mean, Delaware State gets, you know, a person that they want to get, and we'll just see. I mean, like, I was listening to somebody earlier today and actually kind of talking to some people offline about the fact that if you're Delaware State, you can't go anywhere but up. I mean, you've been down for quite some time, and to, you know, get someone to come in, I will say this: the noise about, you know, the popular coaches, NFL coaches coming in, taking these jobs, things like that, I promise you, those conversations are only gonna escalate now. Even more. Michael Vick was number one, Deshaun Jackson number two. I feel like it's only going to get bigger. That conversation is going to grow. But overall, just, you know, initial thoughts. Congrats to Deshaun Jackson. And I'm just looking forward to see what will Delaware State look like.
Yeah, and that's Jeff Lightsley Jr., fraternity brother of mine. So I wanted to get that out there and give him a little love of what he was able to put out there. But to your point, I agree with you that the ECHO framework of NFL coaches and the pathways to college coaching, specifically with HBCU sports, is going to get louder, particularly from this standpoint. You know, we had heard the churning about Michael Vick, and there's the natural connection with him being from the area at the very least. This one, I'm not sure if anybody really saw coming. So that is going to heighten that. It makes it a little different in terms of what this was. In terms of the framework. Let me go to you, 80. What are your thoughts in terms of this?
Well, let's start off with the geography. You know, Delaware State's not that far from Philly, where Deshaun Jackson played a lot of his pro ball at. So there's a little bit of a geographical ambiance there that everyone needs to keep in mind. You know, I asked that question, Dr. Cavil, last time. This makes me double down on that question. When does the MEAC media contract come up for renegotiation? Because now you have not only one, but two names, NFL type names, that may draw additional eyeballs to the MEAC conference. Hopefully they will still be around when the MEAC media rights contract comes up again. Because those two names, whether they go beyond the new contract or not, bring more eyeballs to this conference, and which in turn should bring more money and more power when they go to renegotiate this contract. But there's one name that you could pull off the candidates list, at least as of right now, Dr. Cavil, and that would be one Teddy Bridgewater, who just came out of retirement after retires, wins a high school championship as a coach, then comes out of retirement the same year and goes back and finishes off the season with the Detroit Lions. When do we write this story at, man? I didn't know we were down in Orlando. And Brian, did you have something to do with this down in Orlando with your neighbors there at Disney or something? I really want to know, my brother Brian. I really need to know this. But you know, the other thing that makes you wonder, last thing, is the reason that Alabama A&M hire is still out there is because maybe they're making one of these type of splash hires. Just got to put it out there for discussion.
Because I mean, it's open now. You can't back from it. I don't think that's the case, but you're absolutely right. To put it out there is something that you can't ignore.
Yeah, two hot names that everybody thought have not moved yet behind the, and these are names that we heard behind the scenes, and neither one of those we've heard any rumblings. So you have to speculate now.
I mean, yeah, I mean some people are in the business of speculation, so I'm not saying that that's a wrong thing. That's what some people do, and they do very well, to be frank with you. But I'm just saying, in terms of my relationship, I know with Dr. Brian, I'd be surprised at that. But again, it wouldn't be the first time, last time something surprised me. Interesting, because here's the thing about Delaware State president. I haven't heard anywhere where the president is going. I know they have to replace the AD, but I'm not sure about the president being gone. And I think he was heavily, knowing what I know about him, he recently got married. But he's heavily involved in a lot of decisions. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was connected with Deshaun Jackson's people. Particularly, is correct that there isn't a AD there in terms of somebody serving just as an interim role. But I think the president is on board and still connected there. So I wanted to kind of get that out of the ether that I hadn't heard anything about the president leaving. But even with that said, fascinating discussion, a lot going on in these spaces in terms of that.
Got a super chat on the screen, Dr. Cavil.
Oh, appreciate it, Dr. Love. Appreciate the support as always in terms of what's going on there. It'll be interesting to see what that looks like. A lot of discussion there. Let's go ahead and take our first break and come back on the other side, and we're ready to get to it. And we'll save a little bit more detail and talk about some other things that's going on across the HBCU landscape in the last segment. We'll get into some different dialogue. So let's do it. We'll be right back after this break.
Greetings, Santos. My name is Roland Austin, and I'm one of the directors at the 1876 Athletic Foundation. The 1876 Athletic Foundation was formed to promote the success of all 343 student athletes. Our overall goal is to fund scholarships for all of our student athletes. We ask that you help us in achieving this goal by donating to the 1876 Athletic Foundation via the QR code below or 1876.foundation. Your generous donation will help us continue to assist the needs of all of our Panther athletes. Thanks, and go Panthers.
At AutoMasters LLC, our mission is to serve our community by providing quality automobiles at affordable prices. All of our vehicles are inspected and certified to offer you the confidence in knowing you have a quality vehicle. Our goal is to provide you with a seamless process and positive experience for your automobile purchase. Financing recommendations and specific vehicle inquiries are available at your request. You can find us at www.automasters06.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Also, please feel free to contact Terrence Miles at 601-927-7794. And oh yeah, tell him Sonia sent you.
Tickets are on sale now for the 4th annual NBA HBCU Classic presented by AT&T, featuring Morehouse College and Tuskegee University. Don't miss this action-packed event happening at NBA All-Star 2025 and filled with competitive matchup and marching band performances celebrating HBCU pride. See you in the Bay.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. As we continue to get into the dialogue there, let's move forward and get some additional discussion in terms of what's taking place here. Let's go ahead and introduce our next guest, none other than the new coach at Prairie View A&M University, Tremaine Jackson. He is not foreign to Texas, certainly to the SWAC as well. Let me just say, Coach, how's it going?
Man, Doc, I'm a one-man band right now until my staff get hired. So we got a little bit of everything going on, but I'm more than excited to be here. I'm more than excited to be a part of Prairie View A&M.
Well, for those, we had a chance to talk to you a little bit about you going through the playoffs. So congratulations on your run there, making it to the championship game. Obviously, it didn't quite work out like you wanted to, and your players and coaches and all associated with about us, the state. But you got to the championship game, great run. We got a chance to talk to you with your matchup against one of the HBCUs played on the way there. But with that being said, how did the culmination of the season, how you had a chance to even focus on how that went?
No, not really. It all week we were getting ready for the national championship, which, that team deserved everything, that all of our attention and, to try to go win that football game. Obviously it didn't work out. But right after the game, I told the team that I had coached my last game at Valdosta State. And then about 10 minutes later, it came out that I was coming to Prairie View. And so when it happens like that, it's just there's not a lot of time for reflection to really think about the season. We played 14 games at Valdosta State, and those guys, man, we went through a hurricane together. It was a long season. But in spite of, we were just super excited about getting the opportunity to attack this challenge at Prairie View A&M. It's one for me that my family coming back home to Houston. My daughter goes to the University of Houston, and just being able to come to a place that I think is not just one of the top historical black colleges and universities in the country, but I think it's a premier FCS job. And so when you couple getting done with a long season and then having an exciting opportunity right in front of you, you don't have much time to sit back and reflect. We've been moving forward and going forward ever since.
Well, I wanted to get that out of the way and give you a chance to kind of talk about where you were and how that went, but it sounded like I'm not sure you even had a chance to figure that out quite yet. No. So let's move on to the next chapter, as they call it. And before I do that, let me say that this exclusive interview, is presented by 1876 Athletic Foundation. They support athletics, and I'm sure that you'll be getting to know not only a lot of folks associated with Prairie View A&M, but this group in terms of what they do to support athletics, which includes the football program. So I did want to give them a thank you for financially putting this together to make sure it can happen. So again, this is brought to you by 1876 Athletic Foundation and all those associated with it. With that being said, let me say this before I give both Wilton and AD a chance to ask you some questions. Have you had a chance for me to even ask this question? How does it feel to be the head coach at Prairie View A&M University?
It's an amazing feeling. It's one of those things that when the job was open 3 years ago, I was interested, and nobody called. Nobody was looking for Tremaine Jackson at that time, which is okay. It wasn't the right time. And so with this time coming around and it being the right time, it's certainly an amazing feeling. I'm over here Prairie Viewed up, and I ain't got to change colors, Doc. I'm the Q's been calling, and so we ain't got to do none of that. I tell the bros I'm on the way. So we ain't got to change no colors or none of that. And so it's an amazing feeling. It's an amazing time.
You even bring on your mantra, dog, D-O-G.
Dog mentality.
Now, that's what made me nervous. I was all on everything until I heard D-O-G. I said, oh, man. We got to change it to A-P-E. We'll talk about that later, but go ahead.
That's it. I'll tell you what's really been exciting. The amount of support that has come through social media, my inboxes, people reaching out, and some kind of way they got my phone number. I don't know how, but some kind of way they got that and sending me text messages.
People are resourceful.
It's been good. It's because they've been reaching out saying how much they want to support, how much they want to help what we're bringing to the Hill, and they want us to get to the Celebration Bowl, and that's why we're here. And so I've been really excited. If I wasn't already excited when I started the outpour of text messages and calls and things of that nature from people that are from the PV Nation, we certainly had to get fired up about that, and we're extremely excited about being able to touch down and get going.
Let me let these two other gentlemen jump here and ask the question of the AFCA Division II National Coach of the Year, Prairie View A&M University head football coach Tremaine Jackson. Go ahead, Wilton.
Coach Jackson, Wilton Jackson, congrats on the job.
I appreciate that, Wilton.
So I want to ask this, man. When you look at coming to Prairie View, what attracted you the most to taking this job? And I know it's early on in the process, but what areas of success have you found in recruiting thus far? Yeah,
so what attracted me to the job was just location and vision and alignment. Man, when I met with AD Golf and Dr. LeGrand, I felt like we were aligned. And as you guys know, if the head football coach, the AD and the president are not in alignment, it can be rough. It can be tough sled. And so when I met with AD Golf for the first time, I just felt like we had known each other for a long time. And I felt like the reason why he's an AD is the reason why I'm a coach. And it's about the student athlete and the student athlete experience. And then meeting with Dr. LeGrand and talking about the strategic plan and the journey to eminence, man, I was just blown away by how much thought she's put into that and where she wants to take the university. And I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to see how we can put football and make football a major, not just the front door or a part of the porch of the university, but really make it an area that stands out nationally. And they were on board with that. And so once we got that alignment squared away and we figured out that we were all aligned in the same way, it made it fairly easy. From a recruiting standpoint, and every offer you see, we putting them out. We putting them out. We recognize that this roster is deficient in some areas by natural attrition. People graduating. There's a new junior college rule that just happened. That's going to help our roster some. So, I hated to bother our compliance officer over the break, but there were some things we just had to talk about. And she's been about making sure she meets that need for me and for the program. So we're looking at some areas where we're either deficient or we need to be better from a talent standpoint, and we're getting those offers out there.
AD?
First of all, congratulations, Coach Jackson.
Appreciate you, AD.
It was great seeing you a couple of weeks ago. Wish I would be talking to you with a ring on your hand, or at least a ring on order to put on your hand. But
we're gonna get a ring. It just won't say national championship, but we won the Gulf South now, so we're gonna get rings. That's
yeah. And do you get a regional championship ring at the Division II level? Just curious.
No, we don't, but I'm gonna put that on there too.
All right, now to get to the question at hand, Coach Jackson. You come in over the last 5 years, 43, I believe it's 43-12 as a head coach at two different institutions. Your programs at both institutions have constantly been in the top 5 of Division II football. Obviously, we know that you're stepping up a level, and I don't know if they told you this, Coach Jackson, but nobody from the West has won the SWAC championship since 2017, since Grambling won. Yeah. So I put all that out there to ask you, what can you bring from your top rated teams on Division II level, and specifically at Valdosta State of late, that you can transfer to this program to get that monkey off the SWAC West back?
Yeah, I appreciate the question, AD, and it's one that I've been asked before. There's not much difference between being the top 2 team in Division II and the FCS. There's just not. From a recruiting standpoint is where you see it, and scholarship is where you see it. But when you look at the model of where college football is going with NIL and having to put different guys on different packages, that's what we've been doing the last 5 years. And so I'm really very familiar with the FCS, with the FBS model, having been on those levels myself a couple of different times. And so here's what I'll tell you we'll bring. We'll bring the structure of a program. I learned a lot on how to build a program from the ground up at Colorado Mesa. And I also learned a lot on how to take over a program that had been successful on the outside, but might not have been as successful on the inside, taking over Valdosta State. So I think we come well-rounded. As a staff, we come ready to work. At the end of the day, it's about recruiting and developing and retaining. That's what it's about. That's what it's about on every level. And so if you can't recruit and get guys on campus, if you can't develop them and coach them in the right manner, and if you can't keep them in your program or at least have the next guy ready to go, then you're not going to win no matter where you came from. That's just you just don't have a chance in today's football. And so we walk in the door excited for the challenge, excited for the opportunity to prove ourselves right, and regardless of what a lot of people thought about. I also saw a guy in the MEAC do it too. I just saw a guy in the MEAC go from Benedict College and end up in the Celebration Bowl. And so I think people got to get out of their minds levels, get in your mind championships because we won. And to correct you, AD, I'm 40-12. We're going to get them 3, though, real quick somewhere.
Bad math on my part. My bad.
No, you good. You good. I don't want to take nothing that we ain't earned.
I got you.
But we're going to certainly get an opportunity to walk in the door being a good football coach. And we're going to have good football coaches, and we're going to have a well-run program on the field and off the field. We're going to go to school at Prairie View A&M University. We're going to get degrees, and then we're going to win championships. And so we understand how to do that. I think we understand how to do that better than most, and we're excited to attack that.
Good stuff. Good stuff. With that being said, I wanted to get in a little conversation. We've heard it back and forth. We've seen coaches from Power 4, what used to be Power 5, and they matriculate down Division 2 or FCS and have some success, and some haven't. We've seen the iteration with offensive coordinators from different levels get their shot. Some of them have success, some of them haven't. Now we see the iteration of NFL players getting a shot. We've seen some have some success. Some of them take a little longer to have some success. Some of them couldn't quite get off the ground because of what took place before they get hired. And now it looks like we might have another one at Delaware State taking the iteration. What are your thoughts in terms of what iteration it comes from? Can you frame it? And I think you've kind of put some of this in context. What does it take to be a successful coach?
Yeah, Doc, I appreciate that question too, because you're starting to see it and people are starting to talk in rooms and over telephones and kind of wonder what's going on, right? And so here's what it is for us. We coach for a whole different reason. I don't coach football because I couldn't play anymore and I just wanted to stay close to the game. That's not it. I could watch TV or go to Monday night games and probably have more fun at times. I coach football because there's a guy in the locker room or guys in the locker room or young ladies, because I had a young lady on my last team that are deficient in some areas in life and they need somebody to coach them. And we use this game of football to coach them in their lives. I tell our guys all the time, and I'm going to tell the guys, I told the guys on the team meet the other night, you're not going to like me early on. You're not going to understand why we do things the way we do things until you're 30 and 35 years old, which is cool because I'm not looking for a friend. I'm looking for somebody to do absolutely what we tell them to do so that they can enjoy what they say they want, but they can't get themselves to that place on their own. That's why we do it. We do it for a whole different reason. This ain't about $1. This ain't about a championship ring, although we want to win championships. This is about developing young people at a really high level using this thing called football. Because football, you could do it 120 or 130 people at a time versus doing it one-on-one or 15 at a time in the classroom. And it's no disrespect to people that teach. It's just that my classroom is on the 120-yard field and a 53 and a third wide field. And we can get it done. And people actually want to see us get it done. And so we have an opportunity of a lifetime. And that's why we coach. And so I don't care how long you've been coaching. I don't care if you started last night or you've been coaching for 42 years. We coach. And the way we're going to coach at Prairie View A&M University is to change lives. We believe football is a life-changing game. And that's what we're going to do. And while we're changing lives, we're going to beat people. It comes with it. And our kids are going to leave not only with a great degree, but they're going to leave with life lessons that they can rely on and hopefully pass along to their children, and their children can pass along to their children. Because there's a lot of players in locker rooms that they don't have anybody to come watch them play at a game. They don't have anybody to come up to them after the game. They're in it to try to find this thing called success that is really only for a short time. And so we coach to try to make sure that success lasts for a long time. I love getting water poured on me after we win, right? Because it lets me know that we've done something that the players approve of. But that's just a short moment. That's not long term. I truly love getting those text messages from guys that I coached 10 years ago going, Coach, because you made me come 10 minutes ahead of time, I just got a promotion. And my boss told me it's because I'm always prompt and on time. That's the win. That's the real win. And so when you get an opportunity to do what it is that we do, man, we try not to look at what anybody else is doing, but only what we're trying to provide and what we're bringing to the hill, what we're coming off that hill with when we have to travel is a team that knows how to win on and off the field and a group of young people that's going to be successful even when their eligibility is up.
Man, I don't think NCAA will give me eligibility, but I'm ready to go pull my whistle back out the drawer, Coach, with that and get on your staff, man.
Hey, you don't know, you might still have a COVID year. Quick break. Exactly. We're gonna take a quick break. We'll come back, Coach. If you hold on, we got a couple more questions we like to get on the field, and if we have some time, we're gonna try to bring in some of these questions we got throughout the mix. With that being said, I'd be remiss if I didn't say this exclusive interview with Prairie View A&M University head football coach Tremaine Jackson is brought to you by 1876 Athletic Foundation. And with that being said, before we officially take this break, if you can see a little bit there, Coach, I told me make sure that I was professional for the interview, so I didn't put on Prairie View. This is celebration vote. So, just a little bit of a hint. I thought I'd put that out there in terms of what everybody's chasing, but not only championships, but multiple level championships in terms of that, which is SWAC championship, division championship, conference championship, obviously, and then a national championship, Celebration Bowl championship as well. A lot of championships and the classic championships as well. Man, absolutely. Got a chance to find a way to fill up that ring if you're talking about it. With that being said, let's take our next break. We'll come back on the other side.
Looking for the ultimate cultural experience of 2025? The Zora Outdoor Festival of the Arts is where you need to be. From January 31st to February 2nd, Eatonville, Florida will come alive with incredible live performances from the Lavert Experience and the Bar Cave. Immerse yourself in interactive art. Shop from over 80 vendors. Take a journey through history with a new virtual tour app. And enjoy family-friendly STEM activities. Plus, don't miss the unforgettable R&B tribute to the legends, honoring talents such as Whitney Houston, Marvin Gaye, and Luther Vandross. This is more than a festival. It's a celebration of Eatonville's rich cultural heritage. Visit zorafestival.org for tickets.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Sonia from She Say Sports. Make sure to check us out every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on Black College Sports Network, YouTube, and Linktree. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page.
Morehouse College and Tuskegee University men's basketball teams were selected to compete in the 2025 NBA HBCU Classic presented by AT&T. The fourth annual NBA HBCU Classic will be played in the Bay Area as part of NBA All-Star 2025 and will once again celebrate the rich traditions, on-court athleticism, and commitment to excellence of the HBCU community. For tickets, visit nba.com/all-star.
Greetings, Santhus. My name is Roland Austin, and I'm one of the directors at the 1876 Athletic Foundation. The 1876 Athletic Foundation was formed to promote the success of all 343 student athletes. Our overall goal is to fund scholarships for all of our student athletes. We ask that you help us in achieving this goal by donating to the 1876 Athletic Foundation via the QR code below or 1876.foundation. Your generous donation will help us continue to assist the needs of all of our Panther athletes. Thanks, and go Panthers.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
We're here with Tremaine Jackson, the new football coach at Prairie View A&M University, as we have an exclusive interview. Wanted to continue with that. Wanted to kind of take it off your overall philosophy, what took place to get you here, but talk about what does it look like when you're when people look at what you do offensively and defensively, and maybe in a little bit of special teams. But what is your philosophy in terms of offense and defense that you bring to the table? And does that change based on your assessment of the talent you have?
Yeah, I think we'd be crazy if we didn't assess what was in the house already to see what they were good at and what we can be good at as we go through our spring ball. But we want to have an exciting offense. We've been known as air raid the last few years, and we're going to keep that terminology, that air raid presence as we walk into the SWAC conference. From an offensive standpoint, but we're going to run the football. You cannot win in late November and December if you cannot run the football. You also can't win if you run into major weather somewhere and you've been throwing it around and then all of a sudden can't get the ball up because of the weather. And so you got to be able to run the football, and it's got to be physical. We tell our kids to choose violence. This will be violent when you play us. And so somebody's going to use that as a clip before the week before they play us. So let me say it again. Choose violence is what we're talking about on the choosing violence. And so we got to be more violent than everybody that we play. And the way you express how violent you are is by running the football, even in some down and distance situations when people think you shouldn't. And so we got to be that. We got to be able to dictate on offense. Defensively, we got to be able to do the same thing. If you look at us defensively, it had at Valdosta State, it took us a while to get going because we didn't have the right personnel. We're really multiple on defense. We can be odd, we can be even, we can be whatever it is that we need to be to put the right game plan on the field. But we're going to make sure that we get TFLs, we cause disruptions, we make the quarterback move and uncomfortable, getting sacks, taking the football away. We got to make sure we do all those things. We call it a havoc rating, where we got to make sure we're very disruptive. And then from a special team standpoint, it's our job to keep you on your heels and make you defend everything in the kicking game, and for us to make sure we're sound in the return game, and that we're at attention per se to make sure you don't fake anything on us, because that's what people get beat. And so we want to be a well-rounded football program when it comes to the schematics of what we do, and I think it'll be an exciting brand in all three phases of the game.
Good stuff. Good stuff. With that being said, let me go back to you, AD Drew, and let you ask a follow-up question.
All right, Coach Jackson, the hire has kind of gotten lost over the last couple of days with a couple of celebrity hires and a confirmed but unconfirmed hire, both in the other FCS conference, that being the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. Now, Coach, you came up, for lack of a better word, the old school way.
Yeah.
You spent time as a GA. You was position coach, coordinator, to head coach, and then we've got other people who pretty much jumped to the head of the line and have had the opportunity to become a head coach. Your comments, please.
Yeah, I got a lot of respect for the seat, no matter how you got there. It's important. Somebody made a decision and thought you were well off to put you in the seat. And so because I've sat in the seat now for 5 years, I got a lot of respect for the seat. And I wish anybody in the seat the very best, except for when they play us. I will tell you that it's not as easy as people think. There's a lot that goes into it. It ain't about sponsorships. At some point, you got to go coach somebody. And so as long as people understand that, which I think the guys that have been hired are going to do an excellent job. And if they ever play the Prairie View Panthers, I don't think they're going to do an excellent job. But every other time, they should have a really good day. And so it's one of those things where I got so much respect for the seat until when decisions are made and people are placed in the seat. I got such a high respect for it until any head coach that or anybody that's been a head coach, it's just such a different deal until I'm in full support of them. I will say I appreciate the way I came into the profession. I appreciate the guys that do go get it on what we call the other side of that mountain, where it's snowy and rainy and rocky, and you might not have the right equipment to get up, but you still find a way to get up on the other side of that mountain. Because that way for me, I think has gotten me prepared to not start off my head coaching career in a bad way. You know, you got some guys that started their head coaching career and they hadn't won very much. I've been fortunate enough to put together great players and have great staff to help us get a head start and win 40 of the 52 games we played. I think that has a lot to do with how I came in the profession. And I've been able to find a way to merge those things that I've learned over 14, 15 years before I got a head coaching job to help when I got in that seat. And so I get excited about it. But the way I came in, I'll tell people it's hard. It's hard. I walked in this thing with my first job. I didn't get any money. It was room and board at A&M Kingsville. And everybody thought I was crazy for doing that. When I got a job at Trinity Valley, like I made $9,000 a year. I thought it was it. When I came to Texas Southern, I was under 25, but I thought I hit the jackpot at 24,000. And so I was excited about that. And you look at that stuff now and you go, man, ain't nobody doing that no more. But I just wanted the opportunity to coach. And the good Lord blessed me with the opportunity to coach, man, and be in the position that we in right now. And I'm really, truly grateful for it. And you've probably seen, man, we win games and I pray. We win games and I'm grateful. I hug players. I cry because I understand where I came from. And I understand that a lot of guys I came in with aren't coaching anymore because of the grind and what we had to go through to get here. And so I'm just grateful for the way I came in, grateful for the coaches and mentors that I've been around.
Good information. Go ahead, Wilton.
Coach Jackson, you kind of just hinted on some things I was going to ask about. I know you said that there, no levels in your mind. There are no levels between like FCS, Division II, things of that nature. But when you look at where, say, the SWAC and the MEAC are now amongst HBCU football, and you coming into this role at Prairie View, what are some of the changes that you've seen now versus when you were an assistant per se, maybe for example with Texas Southern? How has HBCU football, specifically the SWAC and MEAC, changed in your eyes, and especially as you get ready to walk into this new role at Prairie View? Yeah, what's exciting about the changes that I see is now more young people want to come to black colleges. They want to. They're looking for HBCUs. I joke with people and say, man, I was the portal before the portal when we were at Texas Southern because we had guys that shouldn't have been there. Creatures is what I used to call them. Man, we got creatures walking around here. Big, long guys that played at higher levels, and then we had them there. But that wasn't the norm then. Well, now that's the norm. Now the portal is popping. And when guys leave a Power 4 school, they're looking for an HBCU to attend. And I'll tell you when that changed, when I really realized that changed. I was at Mesa, and it was coming out of COVID, and we were recruiting this quarterback from a group of 5 school, and he ended up going to Mississippi Valley. And he told me why he went to Mississippi Valley. He said, Coach, I know you guys got a great opportunity, but all my life I wanted to attend the HBCU.
And man, I told him, and Coach Dancy was there at the time. I said, man, listen, I would go. If I'm you, I'd go too, because I've had that experience as a young person. I went where I went. I ain't saying their name no more, Doc. I went where I went.
There you go.
And having that experience where I went, I understood what he was talking about. And so now I think the biggest change is more young people, more football players are looking for an HBCU. Now I want them to look at Prairie View A&M University only, because we're the premier school and we got premier facilities. And so it should be one of the reasons why I wanted this opportunity is because I know that they're looking. And why not be at a great place like Prairie View A&M to play football?
Oh, man, that's pretty awesome. Let me follow up. Can I squeeze in one more second, Coach?
Yeah, you good.
Let's take our next break, and we're going to come back and bring Coach back for another segment and get into a little more of this dialogue with Coach Jackson. We'll be right back after this break. This interview is exclusively brought to you by 1876 Athletic Foundation. We'll be right back after this next break.
Greetings, Santhus. My name is Roland Austin, and I'm one of the directors at the 1876 Athletic Foundation. The 1876 Athletic Foundation was formed to promote the success of all 343 student athletes. Our overall goal is to fund scholarships for all of our student athletes. We ask that you help us in achieving this goal by donating to the 1876 Athletic Foundation via the QR code below or 1876.foundation. Your generous donation will help us continue to assist the needs of all of our Panther athletes. Thanks, and go Panthers.
At AutoMasters LLC, our mission is to serve our community by providing quality automobiles at affordable prices. All of our vehicles are inspected and certified to offer you the confidence in knowing you have a quality vehicle. Our goal is to provide you with a seamless process and positive experience for your automobile purchase. Financing recommendations and specific vehicle inquiries are available at your request. You can find us at www.automasters06.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Also, please feel free to contact Terrence Miles at 601-927-7794. And oh yeah, tell him Sonia sent you.
Tickets are on sale now for the 4th annual NBA HBCU Classic presented by AT&T, featuring Morehouse College and Tuskegee University. Don't miss this action-packed event happening at NBA All-Star 2025 and filled with competitive matchup and marching band performances celebrating HBCU pride. See you in the Bay.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Both Mike Washington and Charles Bishop are out on assignment. And we have none other than Wilton Jackson, the second AD Drew, holding it down. And we have Prairie View A&M University's new football coach, Tremaine Jackson. As we said, wanted to get a little more time with this exclusive interview brought to you by 1876 Athletic Foundation. With that being said, Coach, have you had a chance to meet with the team? And if so, how did it go?
I did. We met via Zoom on Sunday night. It was a little different. You know, it's a different flavor in the air. And I make no qualms about it. They got to get used to me because I'm not going to get used to them. They're going to have to get used to how this goes now. And you know, it's one of those deals to where they will. I've had a lot of one-on-one conversations they've been calling over the last couple of days. You know, the unique part, Doc, is you got to recruit your current team too. Yeah. And so I've had an opportunity to sit down and watch some tape and kind of make sure we have those key pieces coming back that we need. And obviously in transition, you're going to lose a few guys along the way, and that's okay. We're not for everybody. Just because you could don't mean you will be able to play at Prairie View. It's just one of those deals. But most of them have been positive, and I think guys are eager for a change. Guys are eager for a new direction until we get to that point in February where it's time to really go to work. And so we'll see how eager they stay. But we're really, really excited about the guys that I've talked to and the guys that want to win. These guys want to win. I want everybody to know that. They want to be successful. They want to hoist up a trophy at some point. And so they just got to learn how to put in the work to be able to do that.
I want to follow up on a question. This kind of comes out of the live chat, and I thought it was a pretty good one. It says, one part of it is good coaching enough? But really what's fascinating about the question was, how do you look at NIL? We hear about NIL, and obviously it's off the charts when you talk about the P4. But at the Division II level and at the FCS level, what are you hearing from the coaching perspective of how NIL and how effective it can be? And what does that mean as you come into the SWAC, Prairie View A&M University? How does that work from your perspective?
Yeah, let me attack the first part of that question first. Is good coaching enough? I think you have to find out what good coaching is. You have to define what that is. For us, good coaching is not the schematics. Good coaching is not people in the stands telling us we need to run the ball when we throw it. That's not good coaching. What good coaching is trying to get guys to bond together and play for one another, because that bond is stronger than them playing for me or sometimes even the institution. Making sure you play for not just the logo on the side of the helmet, but for the man in the helmet. That's good coaching to me. Making sure, and that's what we came to do. I'm not the best schematics guy. I got some guys that are really going to take care of that for me. What I think we do a really good job at is making people work together for one another. And that's bigger than anything. As far as the NIL stuff goes, that is in Division II, and it is all over the FCS. Not on the scale of what you guys are seeing, $10 million for a quarterback. That ain't happening. That's not the deal in the FCS. It might be $10 for right now, but it's going up to $10,000. And so we're going to have to make sure we're able to compete on a level. And I've talked to AD Golf extensively about that. Prairie View A&M University is too good of a place with too strong of an alumni base for us not to be competitive in that space. And so it's my job to make sure that from a football standpoint, that we have the things that we need in order to compete. And those are conversations that we're going to have at some point on how to put together, making sure the collective is able to take care of the collective, because those are conversations that do come up in recruiting. And so if those conversations don't come up in recruiting, we might not be recruiting the right people. And so that's just where it is right now. And we've had those conversations as earlier today. And so we got to make sure that we're able to compete at a high level, along with what people aren't talking about. It's easy to talk about NIL. It's easy to talk about having a collective, but facilities have to be consistently updated. Scholarship money has to continually put in the pot. We're going to end up, this house settlement is going to make people choose whether they're going up to 105 or whether they're staying at 63. Well, where do you get the money from the 105 to get to 105? And I'm talking about 105 scholarships. And so how things used to be aren't how they are anymore. A full scholarship is a part of the deal. It used to be, I can get you some books and this, that, and the other, and we package you all up. That's not the deal anymore. A full scholarship is the deal. That's like knowing your car gonna work when you go outside in the morning. I got a full scholarship. Now let's talk about this other stuff. And so in order for us to get real competitive, stay competitive, and be competitive for a long time, there's some conversations that we're going to have with alumni and friends and boosters and donors in order to do that. But I'm confident that because of our tradition of our school, because of what was started in 1876, we're going to be able to do that, and we're going to be able to do that better than anybody that we play against.
With that being said, sounds like there's a Prairie View A&M collective project going on this Saturday. So you got that team working on that. And so it sounds like perfect timing in terms of Prairie View coming into space and understanding the value and people wanting to get that done. A couple of other questions in the group that I wanted to get to. Some people asked about your staff. Can you tell us anybody that's coming over from Valdosta State, or what is your staff starting to look like?
Yeah, I can't give names because those guys aren't hired yet, but there will be some guys that come over with us from Valdosta State. Obviously, when you got one of the top offenses in the country, one of the top defenses in the country, and there's more schools in Division II than the FCS, I think those guys earn the right to continue to coach at a high level. And a lot of those guys have coached at high levels already. And so there will be, I can't wait to announce them. Those guys are really what makes us go. I get to sit on podcasts and talk about the vision and where we're going while they sitting behind the scenes scheming and putting our kids in the best position on and off the field. But there will be new faces as well. There'll be new faces that meet certain criteria, knowing the state of Texas from a recruiting standpoint, having played or coached in the SWAC, understanding what the SWAC conference is about, but also understanding what the overall FCS is about. The one thing I'm not going to bend on is we strive to be not only just the best in our conference, but we strive to be one of the best in the country. And people have to understand my background. I'm leaving the number 2 team in the country, and we were number 1 for 8 weeks of the year. We can do that at Prairie View in the AFCA poll in the FCS. We can get that done. And so we're striving to be the best that there is, not just be the best that you see. And so we want to make sure that we get the right people to get our players in the right places and to get the right players on campus for us to achieve those goals. So I think our staff will be, I know our staff will be very experienced. They'll be very passionate about our brand of football, and they'll be ready to meet the challenges as they come week to week.
You laid out your goals. You talked about players and building characters, and you talked about players that you wanted to get in, particularly maintaining a connection with the state of Texas, with coaches and things of that nature. There's another question in here that talk about the character of players. And you talk about how do you measure when you're recruiting these players, whether they're from the transfer portal, JUCO, high school ranks, the connection with coaches that you're bringing in. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about the character of the players based on this question here in the live chat?
Yeah, well, when you go to press conferences, Doc, you hear people say, I'm going to bring men of high character. Well, that's not going to always be the case for us. And here's what I mean by that. We're going to bring in people that have the potential to have high character in spite of they might have made a mistake, because we do believe in giving. These are kids. And so we're not going to hold kids. There are certain things that can't go, certain things that a guy might have made a mistake on. We can't bring you. But there's certain things that we can give people another opportunity. And that's what our schools are about. We're about opportunities. So we're going to create opportunities so that we can create better people down the line. So there are going to be a couple of second chance kids. That's okay. That's okay. We feel like we're equipped to deal with that. But most of all, we're going to deal with kids that want to win on and off the field. If you just coming to Prairie View A&M, or you think you coming to Prairie View A&M to play football, you are sadly mistaken. It's not going to happen. You come to Prairie View A&M to play football, to do community service, and to get a degree like none other. That's why you come. And so when you sign on that dotted line, we'll make very clear that that's what you're signing up for. And this will be the toughest thing that you ever did. And we'll make sure that they understand that. But when they come out on the other side, they're going to like the productive people that we put out.
No doubt about it. One last one I'm going to get from the chat. Good one I thought also was, who are some of the folks that you look up to or mentored you in terms of the coaching ranks? Who are some folks that have built into you to who you are today, along with, I'm sure, your family? Yeah,
there's so many. So somebody gonna get mad at me because I'm gonna forget somebody. So I'm sorry right now. My grandmother comes to mind though first, because my grandmother and my mom are the reason why I even play football. And some of the lessons my grandma would tell me before I got out the car to go to practice, I still talk to guys about right now. I'll give you an example. I was in the 5th grade going to Little League practice, and I didn't want to go. I didn't want to get out the car. And I didn't think I was going to have a good day that day. Little League, you practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, play on Saturday, right? My grandma was like, if you don't see it before you see it, you'll never see it. And I didn't understand really what she was talking about. And then I got older and I understood that if you don't see something that you want to get done before you see it, you'll never see it get done. And so I then became a visionary. That's why I get so confident in what we're about to do and everywhere we've ever been, because I've seen it before I saw it. And so my grandmother was probably one of the most inspirational people in my life. I had a high school coach named Van Malone, who's at K-State right now. Man, this dude took me in and really helped raise me and filled in that void of being fathers. Ernest Carswell is over at Wheatley High School in Houston. He was my middle school coach. Man, I was in that dude's wedding. He's the reason why I wanted to be a Q. He was the first Q I ever met. And he was having so much fun, and he had this deal on his arm. I said, man, I got to do it. I don't even know what that is, but I got to do that. and so I ain't, people talk about the brotherhood.
I like it.
When people say, hey, why you join Omega? Man, I had a coach that was having a great time, and he had this band on his arm, and I wanted to do that. And then I learned about the brotherhood and things of that nature. But he's one, Kevin Ramsey. Kevin Ramsey was the interim head coach at Texas Southern, but he was a defensive coordinator when I was there. And Kevin Ramsey challenged me. If you know Kevin Ramsey, he's very confrontational, and he's East St. Louis finest, right? Like he one of them ones that he'll challenge you. And I was just a D-line coach enamored by pass rush. And so when we were going to watch the coverage stuff, I'd get up and go watch. All right, I see y'all. I'm going to watch pass rush. He was like, man, you say you want to be a coordinator, but you don't never watch the whole thing. Sit down. All right, I'm going to sit down and start watching. And then when he became the interim head coach, he made me the defensive coordinator. And I never looked back from that. I've always had opportunities because of what we've been able to do defensively. Wasn't for Kevin Ramsey, I wouldn't get that opportunity. And then just a multitude of coaches, man. But those are some that stand out in my mind right now.
Good stuff. We'll leave it there, but I wanted to make sure I acknowledge some of these folks that are on here, PV versus everybody. It's certainly someone you need to be connected with. KJ Black is on here over there with the Atlanta Falcons, prominent PVM alum. G-Boom Holly. You got folks talking about the 1876 Alliance, which is the collective that is coming together in regards to that. Obviously, this is brought to you by 1876 Athletic Foundation that is supporting all athletics, which includes football. So there's a lot of folks, and even the folks surrounding HBCU sports, Jackson State folks on here, excited about seeing what's the next chapter. Obviously, just as much as you said about beating them, they want to make sure when they get the chance they beat you. So it should be funny. Edwin Moore. So folks outside of the SWAC and the MEAC are on here in terms of wanting to see what this means for Prairie View, and a lot of folks wishing you well. HBCU legends are on here. EA is on here. Russell Haynes. A lot of folks. Ed, in terms of those going back and forth. Gerard. A lot of them are excited. Sonic Boom. These are folks that general watch us, and there's some that are added to this in terms of what you bring today. When some of these folks are folks that acknowledge you from the past, you talking about head coaches, they on here checking you out and seeing and excited for you. So just wanted to say with a lot of support that what you got to the table, you talked about with that. Will Joyner is another one. It's a big Panther Club backer that supports that. Obviously, the Panther backers, another significant group that I've been connected with, they're on here. So quietly, I'm not sure that people really understand, as you alluded to, what Prairie View has in store in regards to what it looks like. And some people don't understand what it means to wake a sleeping giant. We'll see if you're able to do that. And from what I've seen, you certainly have made a great start with that. So I just want to say thank you. We'll give you the last floor to thank anybody that you want to thank in terms of giving us the opportunity to have this first interview with you representing Prairie View A&M University as the head football coach.
No, Doc, I'm just appreciative to be here. I do have a quick story, Doc. Man, I had a track coach named Elton Conger.
Oh,
Coach
yeah.
Conger is one of the great Prairie View legends, right? Yeah. And so, when I was coming out of high school, Coach Conger was like, man, you need to go to Prairie View and play center. Well, at the time, the program wasn't where it needed to be. I said, Coach Conger, I just can't. I can't do that. But, man, that dude had us running in the 9th grade, singing Who You Rooting For. Like, on a 200. Who you rooting for? Give it to me again. And I knew right then at some point this time was coming, man. And here's what I will tell you. I'm really overly excited about this opportunity at Prairie View A&M simply because I really believe it's our time. And there's nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come. And I think it's our time, and we're here. And we're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that we achieve the goals that we have and that people think we should have because they're right. But I'll tell you, man, on this journey to eminence with our president, Dr. LeGrand, and our AD Golf, man, eminence is superiority. And so we make no qualms about being the premier FCS program in the state of Texas. We make no qualms about chasing not West championships, but SWAC championships and Celebration Bowls. And I'm not gonna say we coming. We're here. We're here, and we're here to be successful on and off the field. And if you on the hill, come by and see us. Come by and see us because we want to see you. Y'all got my number anyway. Text me and just tell me how excited you are. But I am, Doc. I am going to be brutally honest about what it takes to compete today, and how much support that it takes. That I know the collective has gotten started. I look forward to being able to meet with those people and being able to add some value to it. But if what I was told about our alumni base, it wasn't correct. We are more powerful. We are more enthusiastic than what they told me. And I look forward to meeting everybody face to face. And August 30th, we're going to come off that hill now. August 30th now, we coming off that. It's my birthday too. We coming off that hill. And when we come off that hill, it's going to be dangerous now. Choose violence.
Only don't say that here, Coach. You can only say that in the football context.
Coach Ferrasi Norman. So you got a lot of folks. Leslie. So you got the women involved on here. Joyce. So you got both sides and a lot of power brokers getting it done. So I wanted to share some of those, and I apologize. I know I couldn't get to everybody, but certainly want to say appreciate your time. Want to appreciate 1876 Athletic Foundation for making this possible in regards to providing this additional time allotment to do this interview with you. So again, Godspeed. Appreciate you taking out the time and getting it done. You got people talking about mic drop. You got a lot of folks that are in it. Corey Barrett. A lot of folks just getting in here and giving a lot of much love. You even got A&T Roy. So, to cue a body out to all them, they going to.
We can do that here and people know what it is.
Too much, man. Too much, man. I told you. All that dog, DOG. We need an APE. That's what we bring to the table. I'm just saying.
The colors mascot.
Go ahead. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. With that being said, with all seriousness, congratulations. Opportunity that you built. I've seen you starting, as you said, at a very level that a lot of folks have to climb up. And I've seen part of that climb, and you've done it certainly the right way. So it's be interesting to see that you continue to get the work done. With that being said, we're going to take our last break, let you go. We'll come back just with the short one, bring it to a close. But thank you, Coach Tremaine Jackson, head football coach at Prairie View A&M University.
Go Panthers.
Number first.
Yep.
He gets it started. With that, we'll be right back after this break. This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app. As we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, trying to get down. It's like a loop machine.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Looking for the ultimate cultural experience of 2025? The Zora Outdoor Festival of the Arts is where you need to be. From January 31st to February 2nd, Eatonville, Florida will come alive with incredible live performances from the Levert Experience and the Bar Cave. Immerse yourself in interactive art. Shop from over 80 vendors. take a journey through history with a new virtual tour app, and enjoy family-friendly STEM activities. Plus, don't miss the unforgettable R&B tribute to the legends, honoring talents such as Whitney Houston, Marvin Gaye, and Luther Vandross. This is more than a festival. It's a celebration of Eatonville's rich cultural heritage. Visit zorafestival.org for tickets.
Greetings, Santhas. My name is Roland Austin, and I'm one of the directors at the 1876 Athletic Foundation. The 1876 Athletic Foundation was formed to promote the success of all 343 student athletes. Our overall goal is to fund scholarships for all of our student athletes. We ask that you help us in achieving this goal by donating to the 1876 Athletic Foundation via the QR code below or 1876.foundation. Your generous donation will help us continue to assist the needs of all of our Panther athletes. Thanks, and go Panthers.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Before we get ready to close, we're transitioning into some basketball. I'd be remiss that I didn't talk about this Saturday. You have a matchup, North Carolina Central, North Carolina A&T. That would be on CBS Paramount Plus. And then you have the battle with the real HU, I guess, on the hardwood for the men's side. You got Howard at Hampton. That is also this Saturday, CBS Paramount. The first game between Central and A&T, the Aggies and the Eagles, starts off at 1 o'clock local time there. And then you have Howard Hampton at 3 o'clock. Those games are playing on campus, so they're not a neutral site, but it is the HBCU Showcase is what they call it. So as we kind of get into that, I wanted to get your early thoughts. The following week, you start conference play for the MEAC SWAC, both men's and women's. Going to you, Wilton Jackson. What are your thoughts going into the basketball season? It's been rough for a lot of teams in non-conference play, unlike we've seen in the last couple of years, where we've seen some teams come in hot. But with that being said, what are your thoughts in terms of who are some of the lead candidates in terms of men's and women's basketball, respectively, whether it's a SWAC, MEAC, or even the independents for that matter?
Well, when you look at, non-conference play, of course, you're playing these games to see how well your team is and more so in preparation for what you're going to see in conference play. So while you put a lot of stock in non-conference play, you also don't put as much stock into it because at the end of the day, before you can even, fathom playing in an NCAA tournament, you have to do well in terms of playing in your own conference. So I look at, obviously on the MEAC side, they're still forever going to be, the North Carolina Centrals of the world. Of course, you're going to have the Howards of the world. I expect them to still be strong on the men's side. On the women's side, like if you haven't watched Norfolk State and Howard, but specifically that Norfolk State team, that's a really, really loaded team. You talk about essentially the starting four, starting five. Literally are just truly talented program. On the SWAC side, things will look very different this time around, specifically on the women's side. We know, what a time, Coach Tamika Reed, who's now, of course, at Charlotte, what she did at Jackson State, she's gone. But it's Grambling, on the women's side for the SWAC. Grambling is going to be someone to look out for. Keep an eye on Valley, believe it or not, and what they can do. On the men's side, I think you go back, and I know they played last week. That Grambling team, they were down to Norfolk State in that game and had a fiery comeback. And so, of course, Grambling is going to still be a team to look out for as well. So Grambling, Texas Southern on the men's side, those are a couple teams that I'm expecting to still have strong outings as conference play gets ready to begin.
Eddie Drew, I want to take it from this. What are you seeing early part of the season at the mid-major level between the SIAC, CIAA? Anything of interest that's kind of jumped off? I've seen Clark Atlanta seems like they're back in the business of playing some good basketball. Miles is usually there. Morehouse obviously continues to push the envelope in terms of getting back to their championship ways. What do you see in terms of the SIAC? And then give us a little heads up in terms of what are you hearing on CIAA, and if there are some good matchups between the CIAA and SIAC that we should look forward in the next week or so.
And I'm glad you went there because that's exactly why I was going to take this conversation anyway, because I refuse to look at SWAC and MEAC play until they get some data points. And they have no data points at this point in time,
Right.
although I do love the concept of the Aggie Eagle Classic and the Battle of the Real HBCUs this Saturday, and that they are actually still playing these games at home, but we're getting the coverage that we deserve. But as far as let's start off in the SIAC conference that I'm a part of, Doc, the more things change, the more things stay the same in the SIAC. You look at the top of the SIAC, who do you see on the men's side? Clark Atlanta. Who won the men's basketball tournament last year? Clark Atlanta. Who's sitting right behind Clark Atlanta? That would be Morehouse. Who won the regular season last year? SIAC basketball. That would be Morehouse. Let's go to the West. Who did Clark Atlanta play in the championship game last year? That would be Miles. Who's at the top of the West right now? That would be Miles. And who was the other team that was in contention? I believe they actually won the regular season. That would be Tuskegee.
Yep.
So the more things, nothing's changed in the SIAC. There is no story in the SIAC except I will say this, down at Edward Waters. Why am I drawing a blank to my guy's name? Came over from Voorhees. The new coach at Cabrillo Huff over at Edward Waters is doing a great job over there at Edward Waters in his first season over there. The surprise of the SIAC probably is Albany State, because Albany State for the last few years has not had a good program. They did not make any changes. Same coach, everything's the same. So that would be the surprise in the SIAC on the men's side. Going to the CIAA, and I'm gonna try to be as brief as possible, Doc, because I know we're trying to close this out. I mean, men's side, Virginia State, Lincoln, both 3-0, and they still have divisions in the CIAA when it comes to basketball. Everybody, this is not football. So in the North, you have Virginia State and Lincoln off to 3-0 starts. In the South, Fayetteville, Johnson C. Smith, and Shaw, all at 2-1 with Claflin right there behind them. Claflin's played a couple more games than they have, but Claflin is 3-2 there. So they're all bunched up right there together. Have I said anything that surprises anybody when you CIAA by mentioning any of those teams? Please cut me off if I do, because I could save my time and talk about something else. Let's quickly switch over to the women, Dr. Cavil, in the SIAC. Our boy Eric Jackson Jr. See, y'all gonna learn to start promoting these coaches from a different level and letting them go up. Eric Jackson Jr. championships at Rust, comes over to Edward Waters. Guess who's in first place in the SIAC East? That would be Edward Waters. That would be Edward Waters with former Rust coach Eric Jackson Jr. and coach, friend of the program, Coach Otto Green. The surprise would have to be Allen sitting in second place, tied with Clark Atlanta in the East. Edward Waters 73 overall, Allen 73 overall, Clark Atlanta 8-4 overall. In the West, Miles. Let me say that again. Miles. Central State and Spring Hill, the two teams directly behind them, 4-1, 4-2 respectively. That's a little bit of a shocker right there. Kentucky State, who was in the championship game with Miles last year, is above 500 at 3-2, but they're all the way down, tied for fourth place in the West. And quickly switching over to women's basketball in the CIAA. Virginia Union, Bowie State sitting at 4-0 in the North. Shaw, Fayetteville State sitting at 2-1 in the South. Let me go back to the North. Virginia State sitting at 2-1. Virginia State, Virginia Union, always power brokers up there in the CIAA North. Bowie State's has been there before. It's not a big shocker. Not a big shocker with them. Most of your Division II teams, most of them are off until after the new year. There are a trickle of games early next week on like Tuesday, of next week, the day before New Year's, but most of your Division II teams and your NAIA teams really don't pick up until after the New Year. Next time we'll talk about a little bit more about the NAIA program. So, Dr. Cavil, while I've got the mic, I've got one question that goes back to the interviews that we just did, Dr. Cavil.
Sure.
I want to know, and the people want to know, have Michael Washington and Dr. J. Kenyatta Cavil withdrawn their names from the from the fan report? The inquiring minds want to know, Dr. Cavil.
Yes, I've officially transferred back to Prairie View, particularly after this interview. I'm all on board. So you see, I've taken off my scarf. I have much love for Jackson State University, and I had a good 2 weeks to celebrate the championship, and I feel what it feels like, and now I'm on board to see what I can do to help bring one to Prairie View A&M University. Or even Texas Southern. I'll take Texas Southern University as well. Either way, as long as it comes back to Texas. Good Lord, can we get a championship in Texas? Please.
I just be happy when somebody in the West get it.
I know basketball.
Somebody in the West win, Dr. Cavil? I'm just happy if anybody in the West win.
I'm with you on that. Can we break up that party in the East? That's,
the beast in the East, Dr. Cavil.
The East. Share some love, man. I know y'all been carrying all the weight for the West and the SWAC. We want to do our part over here in the West.
Gotcha,
I guess Wilton is gonna be nice. He gonna hold
I'm staying out that conversation.
He holds on to that trophy strong, man. I'm like, man, come on, man. Let it go. Be nice. Share some love. With that being said, we're gonna bring it to a club. Thank you for listening inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. And again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Mills Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. Obviously, again, we'll start the Sunday shows back in the fall when we start talking about football again, but we're strictly to our Tuesdays and Thursdays. We do still have our Wednesday independent report, so look for that. They took off this week for Christmas. They'll be back in action as things get moving around next week and moving forward. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. It's DrKenyattacavil on Facebook and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on Facebook and YouTube. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Wilton?
Of course.
AD?
Lecture.
Dismiss.
Have a light.